In the late 1895, a German physicist by the name of Roentgen was studying cathode ray tubes. Right? Cathode ray tube, you've got a vacuum. And you shock it, and something goes across. All right? What he did is he covered this with a black box, and he zapped his thing in there, and then he noticed that he had a phosphorescent plate, something that glows when it's struck by certain types of radiation. This thing started to glow. So this is what discovered the X-ray, because something had to be going through this black cardboard. It wasn't light, it wasn't visible light, it had to be something else. Something was coming through this and striking this and creating X-rays. Sorry, X-rays were coming through this and striking this plate.
The first experiment is Roentgen's experiment. Roentgen used the cathode ray tube. He had outside. Therefore, Roentgen assumed that something must have been coming out from under through the black box to get to the fluorescent plate, and this is how X-rays were discovered. Becquerel's experiment. Becquerel knew that certain rocks would fluoresce when exposed to sunlight, and he was how long they would fluoresce post-sunlight and whether or not they would give off X-rays in the process. So he got his fluorescent rock, and he had his photographic plate wrapped in black paper. But when he went to do his experiment, it had been cloudy and it was dark that day. Put his stuff in a drawer and then came back to it a few days later and noticed that the rock had exposed the plate, even though there was black paper around it. Therefore, the rock had to be given something off. So here's just a little recap. He has his rock over his plate, which is wrapped in black paper. He leaves it in the dark by accident, really, or because of the weather. And when he takes it out later and looks at it, he finds that it's been exposed by something. And the only thing there to do it is this rock. So therefore, it's not fluorescence that's making it, because it's all covered in black paper. It's X-rays, and where are the X-rays coming from? They're coming from the rock, and therefore this discovered radioactivity.
Next experiment is actually kind of a fun experiment because it's failed. It didn't go right. This guy named Henri Becquerel from the French had a rock that when it was exposed to light would phosphoresce, sunlight. It would phosphoresce, and what Henri was interested in was whether or not it would also produce X-rays as it phosphoresced. So what he did was he took a plate, a photogenic plate, wrapped it in black cardboard so no light would expose the plate. And he had his rock, and he put it on his plate. But then the day of the experiment, he was all set. He went outside. Oh, c'est horrible, c'est terrible, incroyable. There was bad weather. So he was distraught, and he simply took his stuff and placed it in a drawer and left it. All right. Several days he wondered, if anything had happened, and wondered what had happened to his plate. So he came back and grabbed his plate and saw that it had really darkened where the rock was. And this meant that the rock wasn't phosphorescing, something else must have been going on. It didn't need to phosphoresce to emit these X-rays. It was emitting them on their own. The rock was doing it naturally. Therefore, they discovered radioactivity, that these things spontaneously break down and make X-rays.
Now, Mr. Rutherford used radiation and he shot it at a piece of gold foil. And he surrounded the gold foil with this fluorescent screen that would light up whenever the radiation hit it. And what he noticed is that most of the radiation went straight through the gold foil and hit the screen head on. Only some of it was deflected. And therefore, since most of it went straight through, he just decided there was nothing there to hit. Therefore, atoms are mainly empty space. And whatever they were hitting had to be positive because the radiation itself was positive. And this is the atom that they came up with, a very dense nucleus with lots of empty space around it. And the nucleus was also positive, and the the negative charge, which turned out to be the electrons, was outside of it.